Hello, I'm John Harcombe, a psychotherapist. We asked the internet to ask us some questions, anything about mental or emotional health, and they did. Let's have a look at what today's question is. Oh, yeah, good one. Dear to my own heart, this subject. I have suffered in this arena myself. Over the years, I've been on a number of diets and I keep giving up. They just don't seem to work. What can I do? Okay, thanks for that. There's some top tips in the midst of this, but there's also an important story about the way that you're dieting. Over the years, there have been hundreds, no, thousands of different diets with different brands and different names. And it's always absolutely fascinating to see them, come into fashion and go out again. We're currently, as I speak, going through the craze of this intermittent fasting, which proves to be not very helpful. And every time I talk about things, you get people say, oh, but it worked for me. Well, fantastic, but how long did it work for? And was it permanent? And was it the thing that actually helped you overcome your addiction? Clients who come to see me in my rooms, I point them towards one particular diet, which I think, both from a personal and professional point of view, has got it sorted. And that is the Harcombe diet, Harcombe, and it was devised by a lady called Zoe Harcombe and her husband Andy a long time ago now. But Zoe was not a dietitian or a nutritionist. Zoe is a food scientist, and she really is a scientist. She has examined everything about the digestive system, everything around the science and the data, and she comes up with evidence-based solutions without any great hysteria. And she's written a number of books now, but the obesity epidemic, the Harcombe diet for men, which is about that thick, and it's a diet that is just very, very easy, and it works. It's got 3 phases, and the first phase lasts a minimum of 5 days. It can do more. I personally on that diet lost a good amount of weight very healthily and very easily. But the diet also does a number of really important things. It helps you to overcome food intolerances and cravings, helps you overcome hyperglycemia, and it helps you to overcome candida. And those 3 things are the cause of an awful lot of problems, an awful lot of the cravings that we get. The fact is that we all in the Western world, or most of us, eat a whole lot too much sugar. Sugar has no value as a food. It used to be called white gold centuries ago when it first came to the UK, and it was a very, very expensive commodity. These days, it's in just about everything. I went to a local chain store recently and I wanted to make a meal easily. I wanted to pick up just a bit of meat that was in one of those flat packs. I started looking at the chicken. Every chicken wing, every bit of chicken breast, cooked chicken breast had, when you look at the ingredients, it had brown sugar as one of the ingredients. How can that be? How can we put, a mainstream store be putting sugar into every piece of meat that they've got for sale in pre-packaged meat? There's something seriously wrong. And what's wrong is they need us to be addicted to sugar to keep going back for whatever it is that they've got to sell us with sugar in. That's the sad fact of it. It's also a sad fact that if you look around and you really look deeply into the subject, and that's what Zoe Harcombe has done, she has a great deal to say about the research that is done into breakfast and why it's the most important meal of the day and why you should eat all this grain and stuff like that. And you find that the very, very vast majority of it is sponsored by cereal companies and others. So I would highly recommend the Harcombe diet, simply because it's effective, it's healthy, it's easy to do, and it's backed up by very, very, very objective science. Okay, having said all that, if you want to lose weight, you've got to get to that diet or something very, very similar to it. And you've really got to prepare yourself. And one of the things that I always like to say to people when they come to me with any addiction, and that's what it is. If you say, I'm not going to have any more of this substance, and a little while later you do, it's because there's an addiction or dependency issue there. So what I say to everybody who comes to see me about these issues is it's very much easier to deal with this kind of thing if you have got a strong foundation for your mental and emotional health. And one of the ways you could do that, download an app. You know, the app itself is free. It's called Better app. And in there, at the very beginning of it, there is an emotional needs check. And if you go through the questions in there, if you're getting a low score in that, you need to find out why and look more deeply into it and find ways of helping to lift that score, because it's very much easier to deal with these kind of issues if you've got a strong foundation to your mental and emotional health. Having said that, there's a cause and effect question in there as well. It may well be that actually it's the eating of the rubbish which is preventing you getting your needs met in healthy ways. So these things have to be worked on together. So it really is a matter of taking steps to get yourself a good life. Next thing we have to do is look at motivation. What is it that is motivating you to want to be on a healthy diet? Is it that you want to lose weight? Is it that you want to live longer? Is it that you want to feel better? Those three things may well go together, but not necessarily. When it comes down to motivation, we are all motivated for different reasons. And we have to find a way in your own life to keep topping up that motivation every day. And that, without that motivation, it's going to be quite difficult to go anywhere. So if you like, every day, if you got up and you made a list of all the reasons you've got to eat a pile of junk food and all the reasons that you've got to eat healthily, and you can imagine writing that, or you can actually write it every day. That kind of affirmation is a useful thing. The next thing that we need to do is to rehearse new behaviour. It's as simple as that, and find an effective way of doing that. You might want to do that with the help of a therapist, and that can often be a very effective way to do it, particularly if they use good guided imagery or hypnosis or anything like that. So it's a simple thing. You time and time again, you've reached a fork in the road, and mostly you've taken the wrong turning, and that's led you around in a big loop all the way back to the point where you started. So you're back where you were, yet you're heavier, you're feeling rubbish about yourself. The next thing to do is to just make absolutely sure that you do not think about this in black and white terms. It's one of the things that goes wrong at the beginning of the year when people have made New Year resolutions. And what happens is everyone says, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change that, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and I'm going to not eat this, and by the end of day one, usually, they've failed in that. That confirms to them that they are a complete failure and can't even control what they put in their mouth. That makes them feel bad, but don't worry, the solution is close at hand, a plate of donuts. So they get a donut, and what does that donut do? It makes them feel better, and it does, for a very short period of time. But as with all addictions, the price you pay is too high. The pain will exceed the gain very, very quickly. That rehearsing new behaviour, if it's safe to do so, just close your eyes now. Just stop for a moment and just close your eyes. I don't want you to think about when you're skinny again and you can look in the mirror and have your self-respect back. What it would be useful to do is think about that new behaviour, what you're going to do when you come across that plate of donuts or that piece of chocolate or whatever it is that tempts you. And you're just going to walk away and say, no thanks, I don't eat that junk. No thanks, I don't eat that junk. No thank you, I do not eat that junk. Just keep practicing, keep running that loop of film in your head. We all get good at whatever we rehearse, and the more you rehearse it, the better you will become at it. Last important thing, I think, is learn by your mistakes. Set yourself free to make mistakes. You're not going to get this right all the time. Nobody ever gets 100% on the diet. If you cheat, if you fall off the wagon, however you want to look at it, it's really important that you just take time to stop and think, and so that you'll recognise that fork in the road next time you come to it. You'll recognise before you get to it, and you can absolutely rehearse taking that right turning. If you keep taking the right path, it will just get easier and easier and easier. Success builds on success. So in short, the answer is to your question is learn what hasn't worked for you up to now and take a new path. And I hope that helps. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like, subscribe, share it with your friends, hit that bell, and we'll let you know when the next one's coming up. And please take very, very good care of each other and take excellent care of yourself. Thank you.